What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I'm actually getting back into the groove of things, back to life, back to reality and stuff. Got to go out to Home Depot and pick up some wood. I'm going to shout out to all the channel members that we have out there. If you have been a channel member that is a tailgate member, and you've been one for over a year, I made this promise, I just haven't had time to implement it, that you would get a golden Joe Barty. And the only way that you ought to be able to get a golden Joe Barty is being a tailgate member for that year. And I've got about 30 of y'all. So I'm going to get working on getting those out to you guys. I still owe people for last year's fantasy football. I got to get those trophies and stuff made and things, and we're going to get going on fantasy football for this year. I got to talk to my man Blue Virus and Sugar Daddy and Corey, Brother Roz, so we can start getting that together and start getting ready for our fantasy drafts. Sometimes things that can become big are really like footnotes when they actually happen. And there is a changing in the wording of a rule that may be beneficial to the Cowboys. Now understand, here's the thing. I don't think the average person takes into consideration how powerful penalties are. Okay? So many times we've had dumbass penalties that have literally killed us. If you have too many dumbass penalties, or just too many penalties in general, it's going to kill your team. It's more difficult to win when you have penalties. It's like turnovers. You can win, but it makes it that much harder. And in almost any game, I don't care if it's a blowout or a close game, you can go back to about 4 plays that will change the game from winning and losing, and that is a fact. Well, we are dealing with now the kinder, gentler NFL, which is trying to remove some of the brain trauma that has happened, and I applaud them for it. Although sometimes you make rules and changes and things that just don't quite make sense or just don't work the way you had intended them to. And one of those is lowering the head. Okay? It has been a point of so much controversy because sometimes it's incidental, contact with helmet to helmet. Okay? Now what they've done, and here's the other part of this too. I believe, now I have to double check, but I believe that there's been 3 calls, maybe a 4th, I think there might be a 4th, but 3 calls of a running back lowering the head and being called for it. And 2 of them were on Zeke and 1 was on Tony Pollard, and I think there might have been 1 other one called. Now, a running back lowering the head is freaking ridiculous, okay, to get called for a penalty. Because the running back knows I'm about to get blown up by a lot of people. And when they are lowering the head, it's kind of like trying to gather themselves to absorb the shot, trying to keep your head from being knocked off like Rock'em Sock'em Robot. Okay? Typically, the running back is not looking to spear somebody intentionally. So, the change in the rule is intent. Are you lowering the head to try and deliver a blow on a player, or is it inconsequential, like you gathered yourself to accept the blow? And sometimes what has happened in a lot of these cases is players, they're upright and they know they're about to get hit, and they gather themselves to absorb the hit, in which case their head drops and it's a helmet to helmet. Doesn't sound like much, but see, you can tell, because I think when I was looking at the numbers that they said, there was like 160 of these calls that were made. 160 of them that were made when they reviewed them and looked at intent. They were all penalties that were accepted. But when you looked at them actually being intentional, where I'm trying to use my helmet to hit you to knock you out, it was only like 11 of them were actually intent. So that means we're looking at a drop of 90% and actually calling. It will still be a subjective call, which means it probably will go against the Cowboys in most cases, but at least you have a little bit more leeway. Basically, it was always helmet to helmet contact, you're getting the flag, regardless. Now they can kind of look at this and say, look, it was inconsequential, okay? It was not, they were not trying to hit the person. The person dropped his head enough where it got in the way, and boom, there you go. So at least there's that news, as far as hopefully making it a little bit better. And to be clear, 100% clear, we have to cut down on the penalties. Last year, we led the NFL. And when you start having, like we did 14 penalties in the playoffs, if you cut those in half, we win that game. We win that game. I'm sorry, we do. And there's nothing where, and see, part of the problems for us is, we would get holding penalties. And the holding penalties that we got, and this some has to go on our offensive line coach to teach them better. When you had, I want to say 9 on Badish, when you had 14 on Connor Williams, when you had 9 on Lyle Collins, and even Terrence Steele, I think, had 8. Every time you get one of those holding calls and it costs you 10 yards, it now dictates that you're pretty much going to be passing the football. You're not going to go 1st and 20 and run the ball very often and think that you're going to be successful. And see, this is where those kinds of penalties really and truly kill us. And when you talk about lowering the head, it being 15-yard penalties, yeah, you don't want to get those. You don't want to get those. Anyway, I'm here at Home Depot. I'm going to pick up my stuff, and I'm going to get to work. And don't forget, 5 o'clock today, 5 o'clock, we got our live stream coming up. And I think what I'm going to do, for those who may enjoy it, we're going to rebroadcast after our live stream the Philly 500 meltdown, since he seems to have selective memory, where he believes that Jalen Hurts, that he trusts him more than Dak Prescott, but he's a homer. He believes in him more and says, oh, well, Dak doesn't win big games. Has Hurts beat a team with the winning record yet? I don't think so. Anyway, let me go in here and get my stuff, and I will catch you guys at 5. That's 4 hours and 10 minutes from now. I'll see you then. Peace.